Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's episode number 238 of the Audible Farm podcast, and this episode is brought to you by the Fort Dodge Fine Arts Association. Go to www.fdfineartsassociation.org to find out more about their cause. The Fort Dodge Fine Arts Association believes that art should be accessible to everyone, and so do we. So it's a great matchup here we got. You guys got to love the Fort Dodge Fine Arts Association. Check out their community calendar on their website. Find some events. Go check them out. You will not be disappointed. This episode, I'm sitting down with Danny Markovich, and Danny Rubin even stops by for a little bit. That's right. I'm sitting down talking with the guys from Marbin. It's been a while since anybody from Marbin's been on the podcast. We're talking 2019, and I know what you're thinking. Peter, isn't this podcast supposed to be for, all the little guys out there, all the guys trying to make it and stuff? Well, guess what? The guys from Marbin, they're pretty close to being local, and they have basically a DIY grassroots campaign to make their social medias as big as possible, and that's one thing that I definitely respect about them. So you guys are going to love this episode. I hope you guys enjoy it. There's going to be a lot of different things coming into this episode. I didn't really have a whole lot planned as to what to talk about because I left my notes in my car. So I hope you guys enjoy this one. It's great. There's lots of good advice. There's lots of things in here that you can dissect and apply in some capacity to your own band, depending on what your goals are. Like I said, this is such a great episode. I had a blast sitting down talking with these guys. Never a dull moment with Danny and Danny. So if you guys are lucky enough to catch Marbin out the next time they're playing, they're always coming through Iowa. I think they did two shows on their recent tour. And then I think, their last tour they came through, they stopped at Byron's. They've been there a couple times. I've seen them there a couple times for sure. I almost always come, check out one of their shows when they're touring back through Iowa. So enjoy this one. I hope you guys love it. This is episode number 238 with Danny Rubin and Danny Markovich. That's right, it's Marbin.
It's the Audible Farm Podcast with your host, Peter Stockdale.
I'm sitting down with Danny Markovich. You play saxophone for Marbin.
Yes.
And you are part of actually the name Marbin.
Yeah, Markovich Rubin.
Markovich, yes, Rubin. And so, is it Marbin, but it's Rubin? So should it be Marbin?
Nah, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter?
Well, it's Rubin. In Hebrew, you pronounce it differently.
Okay.
Rabin, that's how you pronounce it.
Okay.
So Rabin from Marbin.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing is, are you from Israel?
Yeah. Danny was born here, and his family is Israeli, both his parents, and he was born here because his dad is a physicist, and he worked in La Jolla, out in California, and then we moved back when he was 2, or not even 2.
Okay.
I think just after he was born, maybe 2 months even. But he's an American citizen.
Oh, cool.
And I came here when I was 23.
Oh, nice. Did you go meet him in Israel? Did you meet him?
I met him in Israel. I was just I was in the infantry in Israel, and I knew I wanted to go back to playing saxophone. I basically stopped playing saxophone for 3 years, and I knew I wanted to go back. And I had a friend that at the time lived in New York, and he was on vacation in Israel. He played bass, and Danny knew him because they lived kind of by each other, not too close, but like 15 minutes away. Mm-hmm. And he introduced us, and me and Danny just clicked immediately. Danny was on vacation. Danny was studying in Berkeley at the time.
Cool.
Yeah.
Did you do any studying to play saxophone at all?
Not like private lessons when I was in high school.
Really? I guess I just assumed that everybody in Marbin had to have some sort of crazy education in music to be able to play all the stuff you guys play.
Well, it's what's crazy education? There is no crazy education anymore. I don't know if there ever was with music, or if there was any standards in music, but right now, when every music student is paying $200,000 to go to school, it's like they don't ask anything of them. And I'm not blaming the students, and I'm even not blaming the teachers. It's just the way it is,
Yeah, I mean, I guess I think jazz is music for musicians. Everyone can kind of play, your open chord campfire songs, just the stuff everyone hears. There's 3 chords in it and it just repeats over and over again. We can all play those, but to be able to play jazz, I always felt it was this next level. It's this thing that so many musicians try to get to and can't get to, though. How were you always interested in jazz, or was there something that
my brother got me into it, and who knows what draws us into something. But I got into the saxophone, into the practicing, into the playing, into the music. I would either listen or practice or play all the time. And yeah, jazz also became something that's a little bit more for the people that do it.
Yes.
I don't feel like my playing is like that. I think one of the reasons why Marbin is not as popular in music schools, like, it happens to us. Once in a while we would go and teach a clinical music school and everybody loves Marbin. But generally speaking, we're not very popular with jazz music students. It's because we don't really play for that kind of audience, and we don't play by the rules that those people do. We don't do the same songs in the same ways, and we don't do all the stuff with playing out. I think that our melodies, and I would think about my solos too. I think that they're very technically complicated, but they're also very approachable, that even non-musicians can sing the solos if they hear them a few times.
Yeah, I could see that for sure. Because there's a handful of songs that for a long time on my Facebook, I don't know if you guys were running ads or if it just kept popping up in my algorithm, but it was just like, oh, it's this song again. Because I would hear like a part of it and it would just like scroll through. I'm like, oh, it's this song. I think one of the toughest parts about your guys' catalog is sometimes like the names, like naming jazz songs. It's easy to associate names with songs with words, but it's tougher when there's no words to them sometimes. So I'm not always the best with recalling the names of like jazz songs. But there's a bunch of songs that you guys have written where it's like I recognize this by, like, I don't say it's the hook, but it's like the thing. This is the thing this song kind of follows along with.
Yeah, the best way that we would name songs. So we name most of our songs. Definitely after a certain period, we name all of them after stuff that happens to us on the road.
I remember hearing this once. I think you guys were playing a show once and had mentioned this, and then told a story about.
Yeah, we do it in every show. We tell usually 2-3 stories in every show about stuff that happens on the road. So now some stuff happens and it's so crazy that we immediately like turn around and like that's a song. And it can even be something small. It just needs to be in a story kind of fashion.
Yeah.
So we have a song called Moscow Mule. We played in Moscow, Idaho. I'm going to butcher the story, but I'm just going to tell how it happened, right? I'm not going to make jokes about it. And the bartender / owner, which is like Vertical Dave, is like over 7 feet. Oh, wow. He came and he gave us 4 shots. And a drunk kid came, took them 1, 2, 3, 4, just took our shots, just took and drank them. Then he turned around on a pole in the middle of the basically dance floor and just flattened out a chick that was dancing. So we call it the Moscow Mule, right? So we immediately knew, okay, we have a name, we have a story, kind of like that. Sometimes it's a little bit harder to find out. We were in a place called Jerome, Arizona, which was crazy the way we got there. We had 2 cancellations because of COVID, and we ended up going there, and it's a really freaky town in the middle of nowhere. The town next to it is owned by the Tool singer, I think. Okay. It's very strange, like a lot of addicts or like former addicts and a lot of people that took a lot of acid and just had like a calling to go to the desert. No, for real. Like the place where we were in, the guy was in DC working a suited job. I don't remember which one, but something government and maybe lobbyist or something. And then he had a voice tell him to go to the desert and open up a vegan restaurant. The best way that we name songs, I went on a tangent. The best way that we name songs is we would and when we'll just talk and reminisce about stuff that happened on the road, and we're like, "Oh, that's a fucking awesome story. Let's give that song that name." Oh, okay, yeah. I remember you had a song once. It was called like Arkansas Jumper, maybe. Yeah. That was a good story. Yeah, that was one. I remember hearing that. I'm like, no way, dude. That was crazy. So the thing that happened, again, I'm gonna shorten it out, is that this lady kept asking us in our set breaks. We played in a Squid and Whale in Arkansas. It's no longer there. And in Eureka Springs. And Eureka Springs is built into the mountain. It's a really cool place. And she's like, where's my wallet? Where's my wallet? She looked like she was methed out or something. We're like, this lady is crazy. And then all of a sudden, at the end of the night, it's like 2 a.m., she's looking, it's like, this motherfucker stole my purse. Not my wallet, my purse. This motherfucker stole my purse. And this guy ran and jumped like over the railing down. And it's so deep. You go over, you look down, you're like, dude, you can't even see the bottom. It's so dark.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like, it's not like 1,000 feet, but it's like, you're dead. Like, we all ran to that, me and Donald specifically. We ran, we're like, oh shit, this guy's dead. Like, with no movement, nothing. Like, what the fuck? And then our Donald ran down there, like the steps, where our steps were going. And he ran down the steps. It's like nothing quiet. And then all of a sudden, this guy's screaming with a knife and a purse.
Jeez.
And running into the darkness.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet you got a lot of crazy stories like that, because that was one of the things I remember when the first way I saw the band was like somebody had literally sent me a link of you guys playing music, and they were just like, if these guys are out there playing music, then I quit. And it's like, it's like, I can't compete with this. But, I would constantly see you guys out on tour. I think you're based out of Chicago, right?
Yeah.
So being in Iowa, we're lucky that you guys actually do stop here. Most bands just go right through Iowa, and I, to some extent, can't blame them too much. But you guys find like fun little places to play here. As a matter of fact, you're playing in Iowa tonight as we're recording this. So I don't know. It's like it was going. How many times? Like, how many dates do you play a year? Let me ask you that.
Well, not as many now. I actually it's a good time to plug it. I just finished a book. It's available on our Shopify and our Bandcamp. It's called, I don't remember. It's the ultimate guide for touring, basically.
Okay.
It's 80 pages. And it's just talking about every aspect of touring, from booking and sidemen and money and how to finance and hotels and how to save on food and what to do with the van and what to do with gear. It has a lot of stuff in it. Mm-hmm. And because we've done over 2,000 shows, well over 2,000 shows at this point since 2011.
Wow.
And I think the thing that's special about us is that a lot of bands find somebody to put some money into them. Mm-hmm. And then they kind of stay where they are, and then sometimes they blow up, like something would happen that would catch, like YouTube or something. But with us, we started at nothing. Like Danny's dad is a physicist, his mom is a psychologist. My dad was in the army and then a high school principal, and my mom was a stay-at-home mom. So we didn't really have money. We did everything on our own. Never had anybody work for us. And I just started booking shows. I remember the way it started is I had the Indie Bible, mm-hmm. and I emailed every place in Illinois. We came from Israel. I emailed every place from Illinois, and we didn't realize how far it was. We got an email back, a MySpace message back from John Brown on the Square. He's like, "You guys are awesome. Come play at my place." Mm-hmm. And we went and did 3 hours, and we sold like 20 CDs, which was like, oh my God, we made like $400 and another $200 in CDs. Mm-hmm. And Marion, Illinois, now it's a tiny bit nicer, but even now, you look at it, it's nothing. It's like we have nothing there. We had a pizza store, a music store that was barely open, and what else did we have? We didn't have a coffee shop at that time. Oh, and a video rental store. Mm-hmm. And the bar was just like a bar that you would find down the street. And we had this idea. It's like, there must be a place like that in every town, or at least in a lot of towns in the States. And I told Danny, let me try and book us. And that was in the beginning of 2011. By the end of the year, we played almost every weekend, and mostly in Southern Illinois. One of the things that I talk about in the book is that the people fail in a lot of ways. But one of the first things that people do when that makes them fail is that they can't find the right venues. They look on Google, but Google has the winner-take-all algorithm, which a lot of internet stuff does. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is that if you Google the venues in any town or any state, you will get the biggest venues in the biggest cities. Mm-hmm. So the way to do it is you go to a place like John Brown on the Square, and you do I did it on Google Sheets, or like Excel, mm-hmm. and you open a new tab for every state, and you go to a venue that you know is good and pays guarantees, like John Brown Square, and you look at everybody that plays there. Now you go to their website and see everywhere they play, and you enter the info of those venues and bars. And that's what I did, and very quickly I had basically a huge list by state and city of every place that had music that would pay something or would take bands that are kind of unknown.
Yeah.
And we just, in 2011, we just did weekends. By last month, in December 2011, we did a week. And then January 2012, we already did a month. And we never took a break. So when we were on the road, we had another day off on the road since 2013. The longest tour we did was 52 days, and we did 54 shows. And that doesn't, because we did like El Paso and Juarez the same day, and we had another one that was doubled. And that doesn't include clinics, which we also taught sometimes.
Yeah.
So it's like it is possible, and there is music. But what's nice about that, it's that you don't need to, like usually when you see advice from people, it's either completely irrelevant because those people did their stuff in the 90s or 80s or 70s, which, I met a lot of those people in Fusion. It's like, dude, they have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
Like the amount that they're disconnected. So, like, yeah, I played a couple shows and then A&R saw me, right, playing Fusion. A&R guys saw me. So they signed us and we recorded an album and it was in magazines. And then we sold 70,000 and then I had a career ever since.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like
they didn't face the challenges that everyone actually faces.
Well, we're talking about paying dues. We have no idea what a due is.
Yes.
Like, dude, until now we have 2 rooms. Until now we have 1 room for 4 guys because we wanted to make more money.
Yeah. Oh,
It's like we wanted that place to make it. It's like I remember for us to make $500 a day was, how can we ever do it? Like $500 is nothing.
that's true.
And it's like when you go for a week, it's $3,500 a week. It's nothing. And we were like, how would we ever make it? Because we were like, okay, if we make that, we'll at least make enough money to pay everybody a little bit and cover expenses, and we can get paid a little bit. And it's not a lot. You really need to make at least $1,200 to $1,500 a day to make any money. And that's if you work 7 days a week.
Yeah.
Right? If you don't work 7 days a week, you need to make more.
True.
So it's very, very hard to get to that place if you start at nothing without any backings, right? And now, yes, it's true that something might happen and you get famous on YouTube or something like that. But it didn't happen to us. Like the videos on Facebook did really well for us, but not in a way that exploded us. Just in a way that every town we went to, we had like 20 to 100 people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good thing though. Like you bring up such a good point though. Like we had talked earlier in this. Maybe even before we were recording about DIY, like doing things yourself is like, it makes me think about like the way that, I guess the way that you went out and sourced different, venues is such a good way to do it. And I think it's a way that most people do what you had talked about, like originally, where it's like, I'm just going to Google like venues in Houston or something. It's like, but why wouldn't you go find a band that that has played at a venue in Houston? Because they're probably playing a reputable venue if they've played another reputable venue with you. So like you had mentioned, your first show was at that you were talking about. You had
John Brown on the Square.
Bingo. So that place was a place that was a reputable venue, and it's just like, well, who else plays here, and where else do they play? And then you just start picking up some of those, and you add them to the list, and you make this big giant list. And I think that's something so many people just aren't as willing to do. They kind of just want to take the easy route out, or just get on Facebook and hop in a group and be like, where's the best places to play in Iowa or whatever, and that works sometimes, but sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's counterproductive because people will give you like a really, really small bar, and it's like, oh, this is too small. We needed a slightly bigger venue than this or something.
Well, my approach, and it's true for everything we do, is that I don't put all my eggs in one basket. Like I remember we had a few people that talked to us, and they said, you shouldn't play a lot of shows, you should play 1 show a year and really make it count. But to me, if you play that 1 show and it didn't do very well, then you fucked. Your entire year was
a waste.
And they're saying stuff like John Mayer did that. It's like, okay. So John Mayer, like a lot of people did that. It reminds me of the joke when people tell us like to knock us down on the internet. What's the difference between a rock musician and a jazz musician? A jazz musician plays 3,000 chords to 3 people, and a rock musician plays 3 chords for 3,000 people. No, motherfucker, a rock musician plays 3 chords for 3 people too.
Exactly.
It's like, and like this, it just, Yeah, some the biggest rock people are more successful than the biggest jazz people. But that doesn't mean because you play in a garage band in your house that you're showing me, oh man,
Yeah,
wow,
exactly.
you're owning me.
Yeah, just
with a stupid joke.
yeah, I'm playing Smoke on the Water. I'm playing Sweet Child of Mine in a garage, and I mean that means I'm better than you guys. No,
Yeah.
not even close.
Yeah, it's it's like I play the music I want to play to the people who want to listen to it. If it's less people than want to listen to, to Guns N' Roses, that's fine.
Yeah,
I'm just one of a lot of bands that are less popular than that. But you can't look at the people that are the most popular, like John Mayer, and be like, that's what he did. You need to repeat it.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the thing is some people just see like success is only the people on the very top of the charts when they don't see the gradient levels of success that are in the middle. So like you've spoken kind of humbly about your band, but like I said, you guys were playing like what 200 shows a year plus.
We did. We don't play as much now.
Yeah.
Because of some stuff. That's fine. We're coming back to it, inching back.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, but still, that's something where it's like you guys have put the time and work in, and you said you go to towns, and it's not like you're selling out 100,000 seat arenas, but you go to play a show, and it's like, well, we had 20 to 100 people. No matter where we go, they're going to show up and see us. Like you've gained a following, and that's success in and of itself because. Like I play music with a couple bands that play locally. We play originals and covers and stuff. But, if we went to Wisconsin, middle of nowhere, Wisconsin, they wouldn't know who we are. So we wouldn't be able to draw anyone. So
we were just hoping that our music and the people and the CDs and everything that we do will add up to something. And even if we played for 2 people or to a bar that nobody knew us, which is what we did in the beginning. So 2011 to 2016, we almost exclusively played bars. 2016 was the first tour where we did 100% hard tickets. Mm-hmm. And I remember I was not freaking out, but I was really nervous because we don't have guarantees. I don't know if we're going to make any money at the end of it. Mm-hmm. And then we did fine. And it was always a plan to make that switch, but in the beginning, the entire idea was we're going to go to a bar, play for 3 or 4 hours. At least we get to play our music, that we love, and hang out with our buddies and see the country and meet people. That's another thing. The beginning, we had almost all the stories are for the beginning times. Because you have a lot of stories when you play in bumfuck nowhere with 3 to 4 hours until 3 a.m. Mm-hmm. And you stay with people and everybody's drunk by the end of the night. You get way more stories when you spend your day in the hotel, you go play 90 minutes, everybody's super nice to you because we bought tickets to see you. Mm-hmm. And then, you go back to the hotel and sleep. So you get more fun stories in the beginning. What was going with it? Sorry. We really built it from nothing a little bit, and I think that a lot of bands just get really disparaged thinking that we're going to do that. I would say, though, you said about how success looks different. I think that's one of the worst thing about this generation, and I mean my generation too. I mean the generation we're in right now, and that's what I think also a lot of people in different fields and a lot of people that are a little bit older don't understand. That you used to try to be a famous musician and fail. Mm-hmm. So you would play around town and you teach a little bit and you're going to make $50,000-$60,000 a year. Mm-hmm. And nowadays, I know musicians and I know way too many people that end up killing themselves, which is the worst thing you can do to your family and friends. Horrible thing. It's like I would say, it's like we're going to die soon anyway. It's like, you don't need to make it even shorter. Mm-hmm. And they found themselves at 40. And they failed, and a lot of them are really talented musicians. A lot of them are the most talented musicians because those are people that won't quit because they have something, and people can tell they have something. But they get to a point where they're 40, and they can't even make $10,000 a year, and they have no experience, they have nothing because there's just no gigs. Mm-hmm. There's just not enough students, there's not enough anything. Even if you get a job teaching in a college, it's pays nothing unless you have tenure and you've got the job 30 years ago. So I think that's the hard part. That's really the hardest part about our generation. That if you fail, it's like you really eat it.
Yeah. I mean, that makes me think like, do you guys have a backup plan? Is that why you guys have succeeded because you don't have a backup plan where like, like I work a job. I just play music on the weekends, and I might play like 50 to 100 shows a year tops. But I just kind of play for fun. If something happens, it's neat, but I'm not really banking on it. Is that the difference between what I'm doing and what you're doing? Is you guys were like, we're doing this, and this is our job.
Yeah, well, we basically had no choice by doing it like that. We realized that. I remember I had this realization when we played this place in Steamboat Springs in Colorado. And we had a great show, and it was fun, and, for the time it was money, and, the feta steaks, which was like, we had a blast. And I realized Rihanna never played this room. Like, nobody took Rihanna or Beyonce and told them, play 1,000 bar shows, and let's see if the people like you.
Yeah.
Before we're going to put you on MTV.
That's true. They just put them out there.
Yeah, we put them out there. We put a lot of money into it, and it succeeded. It's not always succeeding, but it's a different business model. We're just not in the same.
Yeah.
We're just not in the same thing, and we understood that we're not getting it. It's like nobody's putting money into us. We realized that nobody's going to come and save us. Nobody's going to do it for us, and we're like, okay, are we going to sit at home? It was before YouTube bands were really big. It was before Snarky Puppy advert videos that shot them to the moon.
Yeah.
When we heard about Snarky Puppy first, we had a guy that we played with in Chicago, and he's like, hey, come watch Snarky Puppy with me at the Tonic Room. The Tonic Room was the tiniest club, maybe fit 20 people, that we used to have a monthly gig there. Danny, was it monthly or bi-weekly? Bi-weekly gig there. And we were like, nah. That's what Snarky Puppy at the time, before the social media stuff started at all. So we're like, okay, are we going to sit at home, or are we going to make one fan at a time, and hopefully it's going to, cultivate something. And I think it did. COVID really kicked us in the ass.
Yeah, I think it did that for a lot of people. There were a lot of bands that just quit.
Yeah, a lot of bands. I see, when I go to venues now, and I see the list of bands, I used to know every band, and now I know almost no bands.
Yeah, it's wild how that works. I mean, that's also like, that created the YouTube guitarists and the YouTube bands or the internet bands. Like there's some bands out there that like, they never met each other before until they play like live shows or do a rehearsal for a show, and that's like created a whole nother monster out there. Because I mean, like I was in a band like that where everyone was in a different part of the state, and we would rehearse before the show and then we'd play the show, but we had all the tools to practice remotely from one another, and that was kind of interesting to do. But like I want to key back in on like what kind of marketing tactics have you found that work for you? Because like you said, like some of these bands just have piles of money put behind them.
Well, I want to just say one thing before that, and then I'll go back to the marketing. Danny, we had to stop, not stop, but kind of tour way less a couple of years ago. And Danny had the vision to get one of our fans, his name is Nick, now he's one of our, our buddies, to start a YouTube channel. Like we had a channel with like 9,000 subs, something like that, which we got from our music videos and, just messing around a little bit. But Danny had the vision, okay, I'll start teaching. We've doing all the shows. I do, he's the greatest guitarist I know for sure. And I think, and now the channel it grew from like 9,000 to 44,000. And it's just going crazy. I think we're going to be over 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year. And I think the thing that sets Danny apart, and people can see it, is that he wasn't one of those internet guitar players that sat with tracks that he carefully made for his, for his licks, or learn how to do stuff, to play to the camera. He played all the shows to people. He has experience that almost nobody has nowadays. And I think that's why people like his channel so much and like his music explanation. And that really caught on. And then there's a Patreon where I have like tabs and a Discord that everybody, help each other kind of practice and work over stuff. And it's been going really nicely. And I think that's, one of the reasons is because we toured so much and played so much.
Yeah, I think the fact that you guys are genuine online speaks to that too. Like you said, you're not like carefully curating. You're not making this track to sound super duper perfect, and you're not playing it up to the audience or like to the camera. You don't. It's weird because like I saw a video of like kids in front of a camera 20 years ago versus now. And it's so weird because nowadays everyone puts on a character, you know, and you guys don't really do that. You're just who you are. You're honest people playing your instruments and explaining it the way you know how. And it, you know, it does help that he went to school for it, so he understands all the nuts and bolts too.
Yeah, we do try to help our musician. Like we still have a lot of friends that are musicians, and every time somebody asks me for advice, I always try to help. I always try to give them contacts for booking, or what I think we should do, or what I think we're doing wrong. And the same with Danny. Like every time somebody asks him a question, he will do it. Every time somebody sends us something to share, we shared it. And you know, we really care. And I think, like Danny did a video about not going to music school. I think music school is a horrible thing to do right now, which it is. It's like you're paying a cost of a house to get an education that will literally get you nowhere.
Yeah.
Right? It's like it won't. It's like you can't get a job at Guitar Center, like graduating from Berkeley. That's why there is such an inflation with degrees that if you want to listen, when we couldn't tour anymore or COVID, I talked to some place about teaching. Right? Because like, listen, I did over 200 clinics in universities. I have all those albums. I played with all those musicians. And this guy told me, it's like, I would love to bring you, but we're not allowed to hire anybody that doesn't have a PhD.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, a PhD is like $1 million at this point in debt. It's like to make what, 40,000 a year without benefits?
Yeah, no
you
kidding.
know, and that's like the top. That's what you can hope for. It's what happens to most music students, and it's sad to say, and we know it, is that they never get a chance to try to have a music career because they're in such big debt that they can't afford to do what we did, which is play around, record an album, you know, play shows, because they have to make so much money to pay their federal debt that you can't default on. And the examples that people give of people, first of all, they're few and far between. And the second thing is, if you look at jazz, okay, let's not talk about John Mayer. Let's look at jazz people that kind of walk in the scene and do well. Those people had a scholarship. You know, so basically, the people that came to the school already knowing how to play got a scholarship, you know, got to network with some of the other kids with scholarship and with the teachers and are doing okay, and all the rest of the students that paid up the ass, you know, unless they have rich parents, they just got their life basically destroyed. Like they will never recover from it, a lot of those people.
Yeah, I mean, I do know a few people that went to music school. One went to Berkeley, another one went to the Atlanta Music Institute, Atlanta Institute of Music. But yeah, I mean, it almost seems like a crapshoot. Music's such a hard thing to get into because it's like, how are you going to make art your job? It seems so tough to do, especially if you're going to, like you said, straddle yourself with $200,000 of debt.
It's impossible. And like I said, there's no money like before. I just, listen, I don't like, it's not that I'm trying to be negative, but in 2009, the music industry as a whole sold almost 1 billion CDs. Okay. And it went down to maybe 9. And that's, you know, and most of them are sold for $1. You know, it's just that money is not there anymore. Like we talked to a semi-known jazz guitarist, and he said that in the beginning of the 2000s, if you were an okay, like kind of medium-known band, like less than us, less than Marbin, you would sell 6,000-7,000 CDs that you produce on your own. That's $60,000-$70,000 a CD that you would make. Yeah. You know, before streaming came and just destroyed it.
True.
And then for all those people, it became nothing.
Oh yeah. I mean, now what's your option? Merchandise?
Yeah, which you only sell on tour. Listen, that was most of our money. Most of our money was merch. That's another thing I talk about in the book. That if the way deals work in venues, unless you do when you do hard ticketed shows, which you eventually want to graduate to, is the first 20 tickets, something like that, 10 to 20 tickets go to the venue to pay the sound guy, the door guy, all that stuff. So you don't even make money. So if you only sell 30 tickets, which is not easy, you make like $100 at the door because you get 80% after 250, and then most of your money comes from merch. But you know, there is money in merch. It's just you don't sell that much online. And even when we toured a lot, we used to do more in merch. We did like 10, 20 grand a year in merch online. But when we stopped touring, that's also slowed down.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I mean, like, you guys have also diversified, like you said, just utilizing your talents and attaching it to like what you guys are doing. Having a Patreon page is a good way to do it. I mean, you do still have a Patreon page?
Yeah,
right?
and I am employing people, especially guitar players. It's like our Patreon page is, I really do think it's the best. It's the most organized. It has Danny teaching all the lessons. Every lesson he does on YouTube, he goes and does a series of lessons just for Patreon. It has group lessons. It has like the guy that works for us is also a guitar player. He does the videos, so he does the tabs. He makes sure that everybody is on board, like that nobody, doesn't get the stuff that he feels like he paid for and the packages and everything. So it is very good. It's for a price of basically one private lesson a year.
Nice.
You get like insane amount of content that's also very organized, so it won't be overwhelming.
Nice. I'll put that in the description along with every other link you guys have.
Yeah, also the link to the YouTube would be great.
Yeah, definitely. They're all going to be down there, so make sure you click down there. I did see your guys' YouTube was starting to blow up. That was another thing I was going to ask you guys about. But your guys' social media, it seems like when you key in on something, you figure out the algorithm, you figure it all out somehow, and like this is what actually is working. Facebook was a good first example. You guys, like, I found you guys by accident. It wasn't like I was looking for you. It was just, that's how I found you guys, was that you guys were, making videos online. And like I said, somebody sent me one and it's like, oh, these guys are insane. I quit playing music. These guys are too good. It's YouTube next, Patreon again.
Like I said, but to me, it's always, we're going to do, and Danny's the same, we're going to do it in a crazy amount of way until we figure it out. We do first and then we think later. People spend way too much time thinking and trying to reach conclusions before they did anything. There is a video, Danny, what's her name? That lady that you told me about?
The British lady?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
He said, oh, fuck. Just so people don't have a mic. Anyway, a British lady. And she's
Huge on YouTube. She's like one of those John Mayer kind of finger pickers.
Okay.
And she is selling a course about touring. She only did one tour and lost like $12,000 or something. $30,000, and there's a book. It's like I got so many. Like she jumped into conclusions. You didn't do anything.
Exactly.
It's like you don't do something once and then jump into conclusion, and that's what a lot of people do. It's they jump to conclusion too early. And Danny, you in the beginning when you started YouTube, you did videos every single day.
I made every mistake.
Yeah.
Possible.
Yeah, because it doesn't matter. Because you're like, okay, we're gonna learn. How do you gonna learn? You're gonna do what you think, and then you're gonna recalibrate after a little bit.
I actually do work for a marketing company, and that's something that I like try to teach the clients is like, you have to try something first. And the first thing might not work perfectly. And guess what? We can change it. You can change it and then make it work. We can find out what actually is working and do more of that, and that's exactly what you guys are doing. And I think that's something a lot of bands, like we had mentioned earlier, just they don't do that, or they see something. It's like, oh man, we didn't get famous after our first album. We quit, let's break up and start a new band. And there's a lot of bands that are doing that kind of stuff.
I'll join the convo if that's okay.
Yeah. Swing on in. Yeah.
All right. Before you join in, I will also tell everybody that I started also an Insta page, and it got deleted. It's called Sax Therapy, so come follow me on Sax Therapy. It got deleted, but now I opened a new one.
Yeah.
We got not because I was too real for everybody. It's just because a guy from Indonesia hacked it and started spending money on ads.
Oh man.
Yeah, not for me though. He did.
That's how they do it.
He didn't advertise me. That's one of my favorite things about Facebook. It's like you log 3 feet from your house. It's like, are you sure? Press 1,000 links. Yeah, and then a guy from Indonesia. It's like, a guy from Indonesia trying to spend $2,200 a day to promote a phone scammy game. That must be you. Oh yeah, Danny.
I'm in this interview.
Yeah, that was a little bit. I did what Trump calls. I went to.
You did the weave?
I did the weave, and I got lost in the forest sometimes.
I'll do some weaving. Sorry, we have a new bassist on the road, so I had to teach him some tunes.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's who was down there?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he's a good guy, dude.
Yeah, he's awesome.
We love it, guy.
Yeah, that fucking, he looks like, just like Kung Fu Panda. And that's why I was so high. I was just like, oh my God, we're in a band with Kung Fu Panda. This is the best shit ever.
For those that are just listening, Danny Rabin just joined.
Thank you. Oh yeah. For those of you who don't know Kung Fu Panda, classic movie.
Well, this is great. I was expecting to interview you, and then I ended up interviewing the other Danny,
Yeah.
and now you're in here, so
Yeah.
we got a double dose here.
Yeah,
This is
sorry.
fun.
Yeah.
No, it's cool. It's really cool.
Sorry, I missed the beginning. Yeah, just jumping in about the YouTube. I think something when you reflect honestly about how you are in the context of trying something new, because I was on Facebook for a long time doing content, but not, my content was like, I made every wrong calculation and every mistake and every bad prediction. Like, my predictions are horrible. I really thought that like live streaming is the future of social media, and boy was I wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I thought long form thing where people are gonna watch you jam for 3 hours.
We used to have crazy numbers when we used to do live feeds.
And again, but it wasn't. In retrospect, we used to have crazy numbers because the way the algorithm worked in 2017 was to push live feeds.
Yeah,
and it's just
exactly.
like it, and also the competition wasn't as fierce for attention online, even though it was fierce, but it wasn't as fierce at the time. It was kind of like, I don't know. Have you guys been on like X lately?
X is weird
Dude,
now.
the fuck, it's like wherever you are on social media, it grabs you so hard. Dude,
Yeah, they know.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it will suggest they're so on the money with what they suggest. Like,
Yeah.
I remember when it started, all the short stuff, and I told Danny, it's genius because you don't turn it off, you just scroll it up, so it's never ending until you find something that talks to you. But I was like, this is the worst. Why would anybody watch it? And I was like, I can be over. If my wife wouldn't kill me, I probably would never leave
Yeah,
the
like
phone.
just to eat, maybe.
Yeah.
But it's like it's you. I think musicians and people that make content have the imagination that they're competing with other musicians. Like, you put out an album, you think you're competing with like the guy that's whatever, like the best guitar player in your town or in your state, but like you're still competing with the Beatles for attention.
Oh, it's true.
It's just recordings.
Not just the Beatles, but I was saying,
Everything at once. So like, but that's the thing. It transcends music. You're competing with Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
You're competing with the biggest people in the world.
when you play shows, you're competing with Netflix. People don't go out as much as they used to.
Right.
When it was boring to be at home,
Yeah.
people would go out to see live music, but they didn't know.
So I mean, the first thing for me because my first inclination when I started doing YouTube was like, I'm so theory smart. I'll teach him theory. Like
I'll tell them the right thing.
yeah, exactly the right thing. Like in the most precise way. What would people want more than distilled, information?
All the harmony knowledge you need in a concise 2-hour video.
Yeah, and then and if you have like the wherewithal to just, when it doesn't work, not like blame mysterious forces, because I see that like, the algorithm hates me. Like, I am shadow banned. You hear a lot of people. It's like I am so extreme in like the one time I said cunt or something, and it's just they shadow ban me. It's like, no, nobody's clicking on your shit.
Yeah. I run into that argument with a lot of people a lot of times. Like, we're so much better. People should be clicking. It's like, well, if they wanted to, they would.
Well, it's not a testament to how good you are. It's a testament to how good you are attempting to be at YouTube.
Basically, yeah.
So it's
Yeah,
like,
the medium
so
is
it's like,
the message.
are you after you do something, do you sit there and ponder, well, why didn't that work? And then do you try to make an adjustment? And then next week, after you've made that adjustment, do you go and recalibrate again and again and again? It's just this process of like, first of all, you have to try honestly, and you have to be very excited about it. Right? It's like every time I put like a video, last week I put a video that bombed. It was terrible. It did horribly for us. The concept was amazing. It's like, I'm looking at it, I was like, this is like, it's just like the thing that like just got us whatever.
The
like,
most.
Yeah, like how many subs did it get in like a week? It's a crazy.
Like 3,600 in
yeah,
a week.
3,600 in like a week, and all these
but it also
patrons
got
and money and sales and like all this stuff. And then I did like basically part 2 of it, and it just completely
Yeah,
tanked.
because
And you know, I did a lot. You know, I watched it. I like, man, I did a lot of things wrong, but I was so convinced that it was gonna do great because I wouldn't put it up if I didn't honestly think that.
True.
And then it didn't. So you know, when it's exactly that thing of like, you know, getting absolutely pumped about it, getting like, you know, like this can't fail. It's a beautiful concept. I put the time in, put the energy in, and then it explodes in your face, and you just have to be like, man. So, what is wrong with like my, you know, ideas, with my frame of reference, with like the way
you're perceiving this, you know, even
Yeah.
because it's somebody was talking about on a past podcast was like, not all failures are actually failures, you know, where it's like you can learn from this and make something better.
Yeah, I mean it's fail, and I mean I think owning the failures and learning from them is the whole thing. I mean, it's like the whole experience isn't a failure, but you have to face your, like, you know, if you have an expectation of something to perform in a certain way and it underperforms it severely, that's what people call a failure.
Yes.
That's okay. It's okay to make, but I mean, I think most people, like the one thing you hear from people is this: I'm a perfectionist. You know, so, and that's why I like, you do things really quickly, you don't think about them deeply. I'm a perfectionist. It's like, no, I think about things deeply, I commit to them, and I release them on a steady pace. And that could be daily, and it could be weekly, it could be monthly, but I trust myself to put it together to the best of my knowledge, and then I release it.
I would say that, and that's true for us with the shows and true for everything. It's that you put yourself. There's a lot of stuff that happens in the world without rhyme or reason. Like, it's hard to tell why one song becomes a hit and another song doesn't. But if you put yourself in a situation that you constantly can get good things happening to you, things will happening to you. We knew that when you're going to go on the road, not every show will be great. And some shows will be like, why did we do that? Or that was a waste of time, or even we lost money. But we knew that if we're going to do enough, the right person will see us and offer us a festival. The right people would like us and tell us about their friends. Same thing with the videos. If you keep doing it and you get better at it, eventually something will click. There was no reason why the video that did so great. I thought you had better videos before.
Yeah,
I really
well, I mean,
did.
for me, like with time, especially with videos, like I was trying to find little things that I could do that other people can't do. Like we started off. First of all, it takes a long time to get comfortable in front of a camera.
Yes.
We started off doing very kind of organic things that I would just talk. And then we started going the opposite route of like scripting, like, you know, to where me and the videographer would sit and write in bullet points, everything, you know, I wanted to get across. And that was horrible for me. Like, it just didn't fit. I get in a flow and I can sort of put my thoughts together, like, you know, in front of the camera. But I had to figure out a way to do it in a more constrained and reined in way. But it was about like dialing in like the amount of organic interaction, you know, to get to a place where my specific skill stack, you know, stands out.
And also Nick editing you and filming you in a way that makes your strength come out.
Exactly, and that shit just takes time and like dedication and resources too. Like, you know, it's like for us, it like there certainly was a point before the cash flow was there where we were very anxious about like just the whole endeavor ending like with content, because, you know, you have to pay a person. I'm not going to sit there and edit all that shit. It's crazy.
It is crazy. That's my job.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
Yeah, I would. It's like, for me, it's, you know, I don't have the skill or the patience for that. Yeah. It's just not how I want to spend my days, you know.
I don't blame you.
Yeah. I mean, again, but you have to be, I mean, you have to be passionate about it. You have to find the right team, you know. So, in any case, yeah.
Yeah, I think the point was just like, looking inward on your failures or the things that you like came up short on, and not blaming some fictitious,
Right.
outside
I think people
force.
look at somebody else and thinking, what's the difference in me and him? I'm just as good at him. And it's so every band has the same idea when we just start playing is, let's do festivals. The people are there and they have enough money to pay us. And then we're like, well, we're better than some of the people that play those festivals, so we'll just send them our music and they will obviously see that we're better and let us play a festival. And guess what? It never works.
Yeah, it's because it's all subjective, I guess, too. Like you have to find your audience, though, too.
Well, no, I mean, I think you have to get good at booking festivals. You know what I mean? You have to find out what it is that this world is, who operates it, who gives the opportunities, how people get them. You know, you have to start being very, very pragmatic. Like you think about each thing you're trying to do in your career is a thing where people have various amounts of success at achieving, right? It's like some bands, you see them on literally every poster, and they're not that good and they're not that famous, but they're just in the circuit. So what is it? Do they work with an agency that's plugged in? Is somebody's dad something? Are they sending random emails? You know, probably not, you know. And it's...
But also you can drive yourself nuts with that. It's like you need to focus on yourself and see what you can do.
Exactly. I mean, I think, again, but you have to be determined in whatever... Like, let's say let's say that you've decided the only path forward is booking festivals. Well, are you taking direct steps at, like, you know, maybe go to one?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like the people involved are probably there somewhere. Like, you know what I mean?
Probably
network
high.
a little bit.
Yeah. You know, it's like, I think people looking at their laptop in a coffee shop, you know, feel like, I hear this word overused, research.
Okay.
People feel like they're doing research. And I was a kid, they called that browsing.
Okay.
They are just surfing the web. You know what I mean? The World Wide Web, and sending unsolicited emails like annoying telemarketers, like for opportunities that, like, you know how, like when somebody gets like a festival booker, let's say that like somehow you made it through all the spam protection and you land in somebody's inbox and he opens the email. You know how quickly they close it? It's like it's like, I'm in a band from Ohio.
Yeah.
We would love to be considered to play your festival.
I wish that was the email. Usually the emails, because I've seen some of those, are like, we're so great, we're the best band that you've never heard of.
Do you want groovy boovy music? It's like, just, what the fuck are you talking about? I mean, you see it in everything, you know. It's like, sometimes, like, John Mayer is a good example. Like, he'll write a song, and sometimes one gets released, and I listen to it, and I'm like, how's somebody so talented producing this, like, trash bag music, just like horrible song, and like just sounds like just the electro pop nothing, and it's just like, he can do anything. And then I have to remind myself, he understands that his job is writing hits, and sometimes he's not gonna write a hit, but he's always trying, right? So it's like he's trying to adapt to the situation he's in. For me personally, early on, I realized that, first of all, it's not going to work even if I try.
Yeah.
Like, I can't do what John Mayer does.
All right.
Like, on a lot of levels. I mean, I am astonishingly, like, great looking, but on all the other levels. But you know,
nice haircut, by the way. Last time I saw you, I think you had long hair.
Yeah. Well, that's a step towards John Mayer. Oh yeah, we got to go in a minute to sound check. Right. But the point is that, you know, he is trying to produce hits, and, you know, for us, like, I didn't want to take any of the compromises. Like, I didn't want to try to adapt the music to do something specific, you know. Yeah, that's our band. We probably got to go.
Yeah, we're coming.
We're going to come. Do not come.
I'm coming right now.
Yeah. Anyways,
so
to summarize, I think people need to be very specific about what it is that they're trying to accomplish, and take small steps every day to accomplish it, and have output that is steady. Like, you say, if you're trying to do YouTube, if you're trying to be a band, or if you're trying to tour, so you book a show
and tie it for real. Send in 3 emails. Like, I know a lot of bands. Like, I know a guy that had a Jeff Beck tribute, and sit in 2 days and just send in 1 email to every venue, and when nobody booked you a show, it's like, well, I guess it doesn't work out. That's not really trying. Trying is you
grind it out.
You grind it out until something happens.
Yeah, and just and then when you fail, which you will, just ask yourself why, and then just
and what can I do better?
Try it again, and remove the parts that you think are the failures, and see if it works. And if it doesn't, think again, and tweak until something will work at some point.
Yes.
Then try to repeat it. Be like, oh shit, it doesn't work anymore. Why do I need to change now? It's just like
you're gonna. That's why I always tell people to tour, because worst case, you'll find out very quickly it's not for you, and you can put it away and be happy doing something else.
And people are like, if you tweak, and you find that the problem is that, like, you are too terrible at the idiom, like you're too bad at music and nobody wants to hear it, that's a really great thing to find out early.
True. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like the best thing that could happen to you is finding out. If especially, I mean, I tried to sing a little bit.
I agree with that. I'm not a good singer.
Yeah,
I can play guitar well enough that somebody will pay me some money, but not singing.
Yeah, I reached a sort of like how there's like a scale of bad performance and good performance. There's terrible people who are I don't know, like Dave Mustaine or something. He's not a great singer, but he's good. Like he's like on the he does things with his voice. He's on the good spectrum. He's just very low on that totem pole, but totally works for the sound. I was sort of medium on the bad pole. You know what I mean? I wasn't moving anybody. And, it took me, I really wanted to be good. So it took me a long time to realize that it's not going to happen. Mm-hmm. But then I let that shit go, and it makes you more focused.
Yeah, you figured out the guitar playing actually does really work. Let's focus more on this.
I realized that if I sing and play guitar, people perceive me as a shitty singer who plays good guitar. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, and it's like if you just play guitar, they can perceive you as a great guitarist.
Yeah, you'd almost be better off being the opposite, being a good singer and a shitty guitarist.
Yeah,
honestly,
that works a lot better.
For people mostly. Yeah.
Well, but for me, it was spoiling the experience for the audience. So it's just
there you go. Yeah, reflecting honestly. Yeah. Well, I want to keep you guys here forever and just keep talking, but I know you guys have a heart out. So let's wrap this baby up. Check them out online. Go to their social medias, Facebook. Go to their YouTube. Go to their Patreon. Check them out. The Patreon is the first place I'm going after this. So check it out for sure. If you want more wisdom like this is where it's at. You guys are some of my favorite people to follow online, mostly because I think you're just honest with everybody out there. So thank you guys for that.
All right.
Thanks, Marbin. There you go, 238. It's done. That's it. What a great episode. I'm glad these guys, they took time out of their touring to sit down and talk with me before playing a show at XBK in Des Moines. The show at XBK was amazing, absolutely amazing. I don't know how to describe it. It's almost like every time I see Marbin, they're getting better. They're more dynamic. They have the ability to stretch their songs out and come back and just do things that the last time I saw them, I don't remember them doing. I think every time I watch them, they're better musicians, which is weird to say because they're already some of the best musicians around. And it's funny because I recall from talking with Danny Rabin on the episode in 2019, and Danny Markovich brings it up in this episode. It's like, oh, you guys are crazy musicians. They're like, what's crazy? And it's like, well, I guess that's a good point. It's a matter of perspective. So what a great episode. These guys are awesome. I've got their social medias down below. Make sure you check out their YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff there. Check out their Patreon as well. And I'm totally going to check out that book about touring. It's going to be amazing. Just stuff to learn. I don't know why. I've never been on a tour. I don't think I'm ever going to go on a tour, but I think it'd be interesting to read the book. So I hope you guys check those out. I got all the links down below. Make sure you check them out. If you've never heard of Marbin, just click on the links and check them out. It's totally worth it. while we're clicking on links down below, make sure you click on the Fort Dodge Fine Arts Association link. That's got some good stuff there as well. I mentioned that at the top of the podcast. Thank you very much to the Fort Dodge Fine Arts Association for sponsoring this episode. Also, if you want to check out more Audible Farm stuff, Audible Farm's got a Patreon. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you hit subscribe. And check out all the social medias down below. If you don't know where else to go, audiblefarm.com is always a great place. All right, we'll see you guys next time. Peace.